Fasted walking is not a fat loss strategy. It is actually a nervous system stress test. And depending on how you score on that test, which most women over 50 don't even know they are taking, it either triggers fat burning or it triggers cortisol-driven muscle breakdown and sugar cravings for the rest of the day. The fitness industry keeps selling you the tool without telling you whether your body is actually in a position to use it. I know this because I have my own cortisol panel from 11 years ago, and that curve tells a story I'm going to show you today. I'm Jennifer, a licensed therapist and strength coach, and I have owned a women's weight training gym for over 12 years now, and I've worked with over 1,500 women. By the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly what is happening in your body during a fasted walk and why the outcome depends entirely on your nervous system state, and how to know which category you are in before you wake yourself up at 6 a.m. to go on that fasted walk again. So let's get into it. The science behind fasted walking is legitimate. I am not here to argue that fact. When you walk on an empty stomach, your body gets a very clear signal. There's no food coming in at this very moment, so we have to start burning what we have got stored, and that's typically fat. So your muscles start to shift into a more efficient mode, and it begins to pull in energy without needing a big insulin spike. It is a very clean, effective, elegant system when it actually works the way it's meant to. But that whole process, it really depends upon cortisol behaving the way it's supposed to. It should have a brief spike, and then it should do its job, and then it should come back down. And that only happens when your nervous system is regulated to begin with. This is an interesting story because during COVID, my entire studio went online. No weights, no equipment, everything moved to Zoom, so no more strength training. All cardio, all HIIT type training, all the time. Same workouts, same program. Everybody was tracking their macros, which were set to their specific stats. They were following the same guidelines. Some women leaned out and others gained weight, specifically belly fat. They were doing everything right, okay? They were doing the same workouts, showing up, same effort, but completely different outcomes. The difference wasn't the diet. The difference wasn't the level of commitment. It wasn't genetics. It was their nervous system state going into those workouts. The women carrying the highest stress loads, okay, they experienced fear, disrupted sleep. They had nothing left to give. Their bodies read that type of HIIT training as one more threat. Cortisol was already elevated, and then this type of workout piled on top, and instead of burning fat, their bodies held onto it. The regulated woman got the results the program promised, right? It was the same program, different nervous systems, different outcomes, okay? So this is not a willpower story. This is biology, this is neuroscience, okay? And while walking is not HIIT training, right, but it also relates, and I'm going to explain why. When cortisol stays dysregulated long enough, whether it's running too high or when it's flatline exhaustion and your body shifts into this catabolic state, it starts breaking down muscle then for fuel. Fat storage begins to increase, especially around the midsection, and your ability to build or maintain muscle drops to near zero. I mean, you can train every single day and still not build muscle. And I know this personally because I actually lived this very situation. This here is my cortisol panel from 11 years ago. I was 41 at that time. And at that time, I was in a toxic relationship. I was building my business from the ground up. My daughter, she was going through a very major spinal surgery at the time. And I was training clients every single day. And I was working with clients every day, sometimes working out alongside them just to keep everybody moving. I was functioning. I was providing, I was surviving, but I just could not partake in life. I only had enough energy for the most essential things. And here's what my cortisol looked like during that time. Morning cortisol, the level as you see in that chart is 5.9. The normal range is between 13 and 24, less than half the bottom of normal. That flat line at the bottom of the graph, that's me, okay? Flat, heavy, no motivation. I could only do the bare basics. Inflammation wouldn't go away during that time. Fat would not move no matter what I did. I was moving my body for a literal living, and I could not build muscle. Not because I wasn't trying, but because the hormonal environment required to respond to that level of training simply was not there. There was no adaptogen that was going to fix this. There was no cortisol supplement. There was no level of ashwagandha or rhodiola, no type of cortisol stack that was going to work in this situation. When your body is in this type of survival mode, it does not need more input. It needs the threat to stop. What I did not know, because I had just earned my FDNP certification that year, right? I knew exactly what the price I was paying at that moment. Okay, I got my testosterone addressed. I found a physician that would be willing to prescribe me thyroid medication because I knew I was suboptimal. And when most doctors would not prescribe this, I made clinical decisions then to protect my body. Most women, they didn't have that opportunity. Okay, this was 11 years ago. Most women beat themselves into the ground trying to get their body to respond, doing more cardio, more restriction, more supplements, trying harder, thinking that it was them not doing enough work. And the body just digs in deeper at that time. And your body's not broken. It is responding correctly to a prolonged threat. The question is, how long has it been experiencing that threat? All or nothing blanket approaches, they create all or nothing mindsets for people. Things like, walk fasted every morning, or don't eat before noon, or make sure you do HIIT training 5 days a week, or whatever, these rules, right? These rules, they get handed out. Like they apply to every single body the same way. And when they don't work for you, okay, you're sitting there wondering, what did I do wrong? Right? But the thing is, there are no two bodies the same. There are no two nervous systems the same. There are no two women over 50 carrying the same stress history or hormonal profile or metabolic baseline. Okay? The body is very nuanced. Any approach that doesn't account for that nuance, it will leave women worse off than when they started, and it will leave them blaming themselves for it, that they failed or something's wrong with them. And that is something that I'm not okay with. Here are 4 ways to assess before you commit to something like fasted walking. First, sleep quality, and not just the hours, but do you wake between 2 and 4 a.m. Consistently? Are you feeling unrefreshed in the morning? If so, your cortisol rhythm, it may be disrupted, and a fasted walk in that state is a stress event. Or number 2, check your HRV if you have a wearable, those rings. Low HRV means that your body is in conservation mode, and that is a great day for a gentle walk, not a fasted walk. Number 3, what happens after the walk? How do you feel? Do you feel energized and clear? That's a great sign. Or do you feel wired, anxious, hungry within an hour? Okay, then your body is telling you something very clear. Number 4, your cumulative stress load, and not just the day, right? The last several months. Chronic stress is invisible on the outside. It shows up as belly fat that won't move, regardless of what you do with diet and exercise. Fasted walking can be a powerful tool for the right woman on the right day in the right nervous system state. But it is not a universal prescription. If it hasn't been working for you, okay, that is not a you problem. That is a readiness problem, okay? And readiness is something we can work on. That's something that you can actually address. Quality sleep, protein intake, strength training, reducing the chronic stressors that you do have control over, okay? These create conditions where fasted walking, then it can actually deliver what you want it to deliver, okay? So build the foundation first, then add the tools, okay? The foundation's so important. Subscribe if this landed for you. This is the conversation I'm having here every week, okay? Arguing against all or nothing approaches, okay? And drop a comment. Have you tried fasted walking? If so, what happened? I would love to hear about it. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.